Hello, welcome to the Reasonably Effective Podcast, brought to you by myself, Uncommon Fossil, and 10 Types. Why don't you say hello?
Yep. Hello, everyone.
Hopefully you've been having a good week with Pokemon. I know I've been having a bit of fun. I finally completed the Battle Pass, so I've been playing some decks that I was holding off to see, because I want to see what cards I pull. So it's been a good week for me with Pokemon. How has your week gone?
It's been all right. I haven't actually been playing as much Pokemon, but I'm working on my big Rise and Fall of GLC video. I've been editing that a bunch. Although I mean, it's still a little ways from being completed, but it should be out by the end of the month. And so that's fun, but it's also like annoying because I don't really know what I'm doing and I'm not great at it. So.
All right, well, it's about time you get to that, right? You promised the people when you got to 300 subscribers that you'd do
I said
that?
I would start working on it, and I did. I have not.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't exactly rushed into it, but yes. So, and you paused it to do the diss track, which turned out well, I think. So,
Yeah, it's fire.
It's fire. Wow. Okay, that's one of those terms as an old person I don't understand, but okay, I'll assume that's good and say yes, it's fire. So we're doing things slightly different this week, although more like we used to do in the past, perhaps. We're going to have two different segments here, talk about some of the new cards that have been released, because I think some of them are worth discussing a little bit, and then we're going to do some, the other part, I don't know what you'd call it, but that's your idea, so I'll let you introduce it when the time comes. But want to start things off by talking about an article from PokeBeach, which is a great source for news. It's one of the bookmarks I have that I check there every day to see what's happening. And one of the things they do is they post the new cards as they're coming out in Japan. That's where we hear about them first. So there's an article from July 13th for me. I think it might be July 12th for you.
No, 14th.
July 14th, okay, where it reveals some of the cards from Ruler of the Black Flame, which is a Japanese expansion. And most, if not all, of these cards will be in Obsidian Flames. That's the flame in Obsidian Flames, which is coming to us on August 11. That, I believe, is the same day that World starts. So they're kind of putting two big stories at once. I think Pokemon's not helping themselves with promotion, but that's not my concern. So kind of some new cards to talk about, think about what they are. So looking at the article, the first, as we scroll through, we're not going to hit all of them because a lot of them aren't worth talking about, but there's a Toxicity is the first one that strikes me as worthwhile. A Lightning Stage 1, 140 HP, which is fine, and it has an attack, 2 attacks, and I think it's an attacking Pokemon. So Leer for 1 energy, you flip a coin in your opponent's heads, your opponent's paralyzed. That's not real good. Don't like that about it. But Mix Loud, and a lot of these are translations. These aren't the official Pokemon English translations, so a lot of these may be slightly wrong. But the ideas are correct. So 50 damage for 2 energy, and then it does 30 more for each different type of Pokemon on your bench. So I think it's a type of Pokemon that I want to give a try with, is what I'll say. It might not be successful. Certainly that it takes 2 energy I don't like. You're going to have to, and one's a Lightning, so you have to maybe use Raihan to help set up the stream turns, which isn't great. But oh, and you do have Electric Generator. That's true. I don't want to forget that. So that can help you set up and stream turns. So, I like this type of deck, kind of a single prize version of the Sylveon VMAX.
Yeah, it's a lot like Sylveon. It's probably worse. I mean, it hits less damage.
Yeah.
I think it's not great that it's a single prizer. I also like lightning typing isn't that good. It hits an all right weakness, but it just has kind of awkward to power up. I don't think this is going to see play. I originally thought it was. I thought it actually did more damage, but it doesn't. But I think we need to talk about the Scovillain, which is up a little bit for you.
Okay.
In that one, I mean, it's pretty basic, but it's both grass and fire. It's a stage 1.
Mm-hmm.
So that buffs the damage of Sylveon, Toxicity, whatever. And then also you have Hoopa-V, which is both dark and psychic, which obviously is also dual type, so it will buff the damage even more. You even have Kecleon, but you don't really need that. I think Toxicity is okay, but it's not. It's certainly not amazing.
No, it's definitely not amazing. It's the type of thing I think I'll mess around with and may or may not make a video at the end of the day, because I don't like to make videos of decks that just I don't think are very good, and it's probably marginal whether it's a deck that is effective enough for me to bother me, that I want to present it. at all. So, but it's type of deck card that when I see, I pause and I think about it.
Yeah, I think it would definitely be cooler if there wasn't Sylveon in format, because the Sylveon is pretty good right now, honestly. But I mean, it's not that good, but it's all right. And Sylveon, you're often pairing with other Vs and VMAXs. Toxtricity, you'd rather not, because you would like being a single prizer.
Right, you
and
want
the
to
fact that
keep
you
it.
don't give up so many prizes.
Right. I mean, part of what with Sylveon VMAX is you have the option of attacking with other Pokemon. You have ways to set those up. So you kind of, with a deck like this, you need to have those other types to be able to attack with. So can you pull that off on a single prize? Maybe a Zoroark build. I don't know. I'm not sure. Just kind of throwing around ideas, but it probably is going to come up short at the end of the day.
Yeah. And then next up is Glamora EX. And Glamora EX here is pretty interesting. Before we talk about it, I think we need to, or before we say what it does, there's a Glamora that it poisons. It's kind of like Galarian Weezing, I guess, but it poisons a bunch. And it also does, it has an ability that means it doesn't give a prize on a coin flip, which is pretty good. And then also the single prize here, it only has 40 HP. There are some with more HP, but the quote good one only has 40 HP, but then has Ascension, so you can evolve turn 1 essentially, which is quite good. But then you also have this new one, Glamora EX, with this ability here that pretty much says if it's Glamora EX is in the active, then your opponent can only have 3 bench Pokemon. If they have more, they're discarded. Then it has attack for 2 fighting. That does 140 and poison. And this is kind of interesting because limiting your opponent's bench to 3 is pretty detrimental.
Okay, you say that now, but you hate on Avery, right? Which draws 3 and reduces them to 3, and you say that's a terrible thing to play. But somehow Glamora is good for its ability.
No, well, theoretically it could be good. Theoretically, Avery could be good as well. But then you bring up the good point of that. Honestly, it's not always an effect. Like theoretically, Glamora is always an effect. But then oftentimes, like your opponent can switch out of it. And so the problem is when the ability turns on, which Avery is essentially a one-time thing. It's essentially Glamora turning on and then turning off again. The Glamora is nice that it like reduces the amount of bench Pokemon your opponent can have. Avery, they can still always have 5 bench Pokemon. And then like if they're removed, then you can just play more. Glamora, you just can't, and it like limits. It makes Lumineon really bad. But then I think the problem is that this ability can't turn on and off by like getting gusted around or roped or whatever. You can kind of get around that with more Glamoras, but then there's also Path, which is pretty common. That doesn't really allow you to do Lumineon, but it allows more options. And I think the fact that you can get around this decently easy is not great. And also we've seen something similar in Ting Lu, and Ting Lu's been all right, but I think Ting Lu's effect's stronger than Glamora's, and it's on a basic, and so I don't think Glamora is quite good enough.
I mean, I think though when you raise Ting Lu, that's the fighting one, right? That ability locks.
Yeah.
So which and then you can play that with Koraidon probably to set that up. Having maybe a 1/1 Glamora in that deck might be nice as an option, I'm thinking.
Why?
Well, just to have. Well, first off, the first time I played Ting Lu, what I matched into was Reggie Drago V-Star, and they started hitting me with Noivern. So they were immune to basics, right? Noivern,
yeah, but
so that wasn't good. So I didn't have any evolutions, nothing to deal with it. I ultimately won. It was a long slog of a game, but I'm just saying. So I think sometimes it is detrimental to some decks. So having it as an option in a fighting deck, I think might be worthwhile.
I guess, but there's also like the other Glamora as well. Like the single prize Glamora is pretty solid. I think it's obviously lower HP, but it's a decent damage job. It's 6 times poison, which is quite good. And I don't think you need like an evolution every day. Like I'm not too worried about Noivern. You don't really see it that much.
Yeah, that's
there's
true.
like Flying Pikachu too, but I mean you can gust around them too with that deck. But I don't know. I think this one's okay.
I think it might be an include in a fighting deck as an option because it does help with some matchups going down to 3. There's some decks that really hate that.
Yeah, I think it'll be its own deck. I think
it might be.
Because you have this with a few options, like a solid attack, and then you also have the single prizer, and so you have a bit of versatility.
Okay, I mean maybe that's the way it goes too. It's not game breaking for sure. I think we agree on that.
Yeah. I think again though it does have the Avery problem of like removing your opponent's like Luminias and stuff, which is not good.
Right. There, you want a deck when you can play it when you want it, but you don't want to be forced to play it when is your only attacking option, because sometimes you help your opponent. So that's an issue with it. I think moving on, then Togekiss is the next one we want to talk about, right? Which is a stage 2. And
Yeah.
Psychic Pokemon, 150 HP, so that's low for a stage 2. Retreat cost is free, so that's a plus. It's got the Precious Gift ability. Once during your turn after you attack, you may draw until you have 8 cards in hand. So that's a nice option for a lot of decks. So it's a stage 2, obviously, which is a definite downside. And what's the attack? It's 2 colorless, so therefore you can put it potentially in any deck, and it does 110 damage, and you move an energy from this Pokemon to one of your bench Pokemon. So you could toss it in other decks and even could attack with it potentially. But the ability, I think there's some decks that you'll want to think about the card.
Yeah, I think this is interesting. Obviously, it being a stage 2 is pretty awkward.
Yeah.
But I think the attack, I want to talk about that a little more. It's not that good, but you
No.
attack with probably double turbo, which only is 90, but that's
Yeah.
enough to certainly carry some things. And then you move the energy to the bench. Oftentimes with attacks like that, it's nice to preserve the energy, but then your opponent kind of might just not attack the Togekiss, but then it has free retreat, so that's nice. So it doesn't fall prey to that. But then also, so obviously it's similar to Radiant Venusaur because I mean it's the same idea of like after you attack, but it draws a bunch, right?
Yeah,
but
eight's
then
a
your
lot of
opponent-
cards.
Yeah, but even Iono would get your hand smaller than that.
Yes.
So you will be getting probably Ionoed and like judged a bunch, but it's still pretty solid. Also, the line, there's a Togepi and Togetic, and even a Togekiss
Yes.
that when you play them, you like heal your, I think it's your active. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it's pretty solid.
Okay.
And I like that idea. I think this almost in Hisui and Gudra might be interesting because you have the healing and then you have like draw. So I like the ideas of that, possibly with the Arceus, but I don't know if you need this in that deck. But I don't know. I think it's an interesting idea with the whole line, and also 150 HP is low, but we've seen it lower. And honestly, I think it's okay. It's not like living hits that often, but it's
Right.
not like vulnerable to like Sableye or Radiant Greninja, so that's good.
Right. Oh, and Cramorant, obviously, too. So
Yeah.
you're safe from those things. And other things are going to, even if you're at like 180, you're going to get one shot by the bigger Pokemon anyway. So it probably doesn't matter too much at 150. It's fine. It's an interesting one, I think. And it's, I'm not sure exactly how useful it'll be, but it's 8 cards is a lot. So, and honestly, yes, you're going to get judged and Ionoed, but your opponent can't do that every turn, and they don't necessarily want to. If your opponent, you're forced,
I don't know. Some decks can. Like
it's
it's not crazy now that decks play like between the two, like 6 or 7. It's certainly not every deck, but if you're getting judged and I know like every turn, then Togekiss is pretty awful. Like it barely does anything, and then at that point, like it's not really worth that running. So I think you need benefit from the healing in addition to the ability.
But the fact is, and I've played some like the Togekiss VMAX deck where you're like pulling 2 cards each time from the deck, which wasn't a great deck, but it was kind of interesting, and you get Marnied and stuff all the time with that. But eventually, but if you're forcing your opponent to play Marnie, that means they can't play the boss, which they want to do sometimes. They can't play the research to get more cards. So sometimes to hurt you, they're slowing themselves down too. So
yeah, but when you're not getting that like search benefit or the draw benefit, then all of a sudden you're losing out on like your benefit as well. So even if your opponent's hurt a little bit, you're usually hurt more than they are. I think it's okay. I don't think it's amazing though.
No, I think it's maybe is there a deck that you want like a thin lineup to keep on the bench, but not to attack with?
And I think Gudra could be. I'm not sure. I need to look at the decks. I don't hate it either though. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of interesting, maybe okay-ish, and we've talked about it enough, I think. So, getting to another EX Pokemon, unless there's something else you want to talk, and this is Revavroom EX, which we see the English translation of with this card. So 280 HP, stage 1. So a good HP number, what you want to see. Metal type, weak to fire. And then this has the ability that you may attach up to 4 tools to this Pokemon. And if you lose the ability, such as Path being played down, you discard tools till you only have one. So if tools, there's a deck that wants a lot of tools, it's nice to have that as an option to keep in mind. And then it's got Wild Drift, attack 3 energy, Metal Colorless does 170. And then during your opponent's next turn, this Pokemon takes 30 less damage from attack. So that puts you at 310. So then you're probably not getting one shot by most decks. So has some value there. Although 170 is not great, if you can't get one shot, 170 is a nice number to hit.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Obviously, the clear comparison here is to Honchkrow V, right? Because they have the same ability, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, the exact same one. Yes.
And then but they're like theoretically it's the same, but they're not exactly the same because they have different tools they can work with, right? So
yeah,
I think there's a tool that helps stage 1s. I don't remember what it was or it is. It's not out yet, but it's kind of interesting. But then Honchkrow V can put on like Charm or Courage. It's also dark type. Like I don't love Reverroom because its attack cost is really awkward to pay. There's no Metal Saucer. Magnezone's like not that good. So it's kind of weird. It does have essentially built-in draw engine with a line though, which is kind of cool. I don't know. This might be something to try out, but it's also I don't know. I think it's not that good.
I agree. It's not that good. It's not overly interesting to me. We've seen the ability before, but it's the question is there something you can do with that ability? And right now, I mean, I don't think there is. And but maybe there's something down the road. And obviously,
you could do like those disruption tools that like when you hit 2, you get to do disruption. But the Path is also really bad for it because like
then you go down to 1.
Most of your tools.
Right. Tools that cause trouble to your opponent to lose cards, lose energy, gets damaged. Maybe there's something like that, but that's a gimmicky deck, but it might lend itself to something like that. But that's about it, I think.
Yeah. Next up, I think we can move on, right?
Yep. I think yes.
Next up, we have Pidgeot EX, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
It's actually I'll call it like a soft reprint, but there's a Pidgeot that's like super old, but it has an ability Quick Search, and it lets you every turn search your deck for a card. You can only use one of this ability per turn. You also attack for, you have 280 HP on a stage 2 EX, which is low. That's the same amount of HP as on Reverroom. It's not what you're looking for here. This, I believe, is the lowest, but it could be wrong. And then we have Fierce Wings for 2 colors, 120, discard a stadium in play, which is not very good. You do it for your retreat, which is kind of fun, but obviously the ability is the big thing. And we were actually the other day, you and I were talking about how we missed the Inteleon engine because it lets you search for like what you want.
Right.
And there's no way to search. This is a way to search. Obviously, it's not as much. You only search for 1 card, but it's still a free card every turn.
Right.
Yeah, I think this is personally. I think this is really good in Arceus. Arceus, you obviously have the V-Star power to get what you want early game, and then late game you can go and use, or like mid to late game you use Pidgeot, and then search exactly what you want from that, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, potentially the ability is huge, right? I mean, because while Drizzile, you searched 1 item, which is great. Here you search any card, so you got your item to get some other card.
Yeah, Drizzile was a trainer.
A trainer, I'm sorry. Okay, you're right. Even better, right? Which is very good. But here, which you might get the trainer still, but you can also grab it instead of like a Pokemon search card. You just grab the Pokemon, so it's even better. 1 card. If you had multiple in play, you could search for multiple cards. I'm not sure that you're going to be looking to do that. Stage 2 is obviously a big negative. 280 HP. I don't love it, but you could Sharon's Care with Arceus deck, right? It has that synergy. It's 2 colors energy, so DTE, so it fits well in that type of deck. And that ability is great if you get it set up, right? That's the challenge.
Yeah. But you could use Arceus to set up.
Yes.
You obviously lose. You still got to search that turn. Right. So I think it's good. It also is turned off by Path, which is kind of bad. If I might be wrong in this, but okay, it's kind of a vague question, but this is one of the first abilities we've seen in a little while. That's like a whole engine that's like turned off. You can turn off with Path. Obviously, we've seen stuff like Luminia and Crobat, Squawkabilly, and things of that nature. But in Shadow Rider as well. But like this is like I don't know. It's a big deal that it can be turned off by path, which is obviously bad for it.
Yeah, but it's definitely something to keep in mind. Definitely, I think something that I'm going to want to give a try to because it could be game breaking as a stage two. You're gonna have to rare candy to get it mostly, and the HP is a little low, so it's not ideal. But if they're targeting the Pidgeot and you already have your attacker set up, then you're just hitting back with the attacker again. So it's not necessarily such a bad thing.
Yeah,
Even at
especially in
280.
Arceus, then it's like you're literally the same HP and give up the same amount of prizes, and so your
Right.
opponents they don't have an easy way out. Also one other thing I heard someone else mention this. I don't remember who it was, but someone said in expanded, it's actually really interesting because you have the Pidgeot, or sorry, the Pidgeotto, right? Which you look at the top two cards of your deck, put one
Yep.
to your hand, put the one at the bottom of your deck, which would be so good. I think this is kind of broken and expanded now, but it's
Oh,
well, not, I don't know, pretty good certainly.
well, you can evolve from the Pidgeotto, and then you can scoop up net this too, right?
Oh yeah, you can screw.
So
That's
that's
good.
insanely good, right? I mean, if that was in
Yeah.
standard like that, that would just be crazy.
I mean, I don't know. Like realistically, scoop up netting isn't that good. Like it's a really nice ability to have in play.
Yeah.
Especially if your main attacker is probably also a three prizer, so with less HP than Pidgeot, so it's not really a big deal having Pidgeot in play. But it's certainly it's really interesting and very powerful.
Yeah. No, I'm thinking. Yeah, the expanded idea is interesting too. So think for standard, but yeah, want to try it out and expand it too. So it's how good's it going to be? I'm not sure, but I think it's a super interesting card. This is probably the most interesting one in the bunch. I think we obviously haven't gotten quite to all of them, but we've.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure. I'll introduce the next one as well.
Yep.
Flamingo, right? Were you planning on talking about this one or not?
I was not. No, this one wasn't on my list. So go ahead.
Okay, so Flamingo is really interesting. Its attack here. So first of all, 110 HP, 2 retreat.
120.
Oh yeah, 120. I was thinking of the other ones. You can search this out with the other Flamingo that's played in United Wings.
Yep.
Which is cool, I guess. It's just out like a lot of Flamingos, which is kind of funny. So I don't know if it's actually that good because realistically you don't need 4 Flamingos, but it's an interesting attack here. Synchro Feather does 60 if you have a Flamingo on your bench, and you could have multiple. This deck also does 60 to 20 opponent's bench Pokemon, so that's 60 to the active, 60 to the bench. It is 2 colorless, so you could use double turbo, but that's not great.
Right, then you're doing 40 and 40, and that's a big loss.
Yeah, but 60 and 60 will KO stuff. It depends because it depends like what people play. For example, there are 60 HP Ralts, there's 60 HP. I don't know. There's 60 HP versions of a lot of Weird Illusions, but there's also like 70 and 80 HP versions of them as well. So it depends what people play. But I think it's really interesting, and also this reminds me a lot of Radiant Greninja's attack, which is super good. And it's 2 colors. You can pay this with a number of things. You can put this in fire-based decks.
Right.
I think it's interesting because you were playing with Delphox V, right?
Yes. Yeah, that hits the bench also. Yep.
That's 120 to the active, 120 to the bench. And that could work with this too, right? These two could go together.
Yeah, I mean, the Flamingo, I think the 60 and 60 in of itself isn't going to get you very far, but pairing with
I think it's pretty good. It's the same amount of damage as, or it's more than Cramorant. It's the same amount as Sableye, but it's easier to pay.
Yeah.
Or it's easier to meet.
Sableye you can put wherever you want, though, in moving around.
Yeah, Sableye's better, obviously.
But look, I mean, most Pokemon are more than 60 HP that are in play. So you're not one-shotting anything most of the time. But I think it helps is the multi-prize ones. It gets, like, if you're hitting 280, now all of a sudden you can take out a 310 or 320 HP Pokemon the next turn with it, or even 2 of them, right? You do one shot of this, and all of a sudden you've brought 2 multi-price Pokemon into range for your bigger attacker, which I think I like, which I think is how I see it working.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's interesting. I personally like it more as like a spread-based attacking deck, but I don't know. I think it's certainly really interesting, though. I really like it. More than you, I think.
It wasn't on my list,
really
but
solid damage, which is it's just nice compared to like the Heatmore, right? Which I think you played, which is the It does 90 for 3 fire or fire colors. And then
Hmm.
if you have 6 energy, you also do a 1 of these type to the bench, which is really good. But you
Right.
need 6 energy. This is just 2. And getting a Flamigo on your bench is not hard at all. Obviously, it depends. If you're just playing 2 Flamigos, it's a little hard. But
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I'm a big fan of this. This might be my favorite. It's not the best, but it's pretty cool.
I just see it. I just see most decks. A lot of turns you're gonna have to power it up with a DDE, and they're doing 40 and 40. And is that going to feel good very often? Right. I think.
Yeah, that's not great. Well, I think you'd probably play this in. I'm not sure. Like paying it's a bit awkward, right?
Yeah, which is why I think
It'd be much better if we had twin, obviously.
correct with twin. It would be take it to a better level for sure. I think you're going to want to pair it with something else, and with the option maybe of riding the Flamigos in the right matchup, but having something that can hit harder too. I just that's the way I think it would play out. But you know,
Yeah, I agree with that. And I'm not sure what that is, but I like it. I like it.
yeah. And as you mentioned, how are you going to power it up? So like if you're doing
You
the
can use like Raihan, which is I think whatever you're playing, you probably play Raihan in.
right.
There are other options like Cherim, Flaffy,
Mhm.
Excalibur, which all kind of get kind of sketchy, but they're options.
Well, right. So if you have a deck that you're going to need to pair with some other, whatever your energy acceleration is in the deck, this is an option for it, especially if it's a spread based deck, because then obviously multi prizes with 1 turn is good as an option.
Yeah.
Um,
But you want to go over the next card?
I do, yes. So now there's a stadium here, Pokemon League HQ. So a stadium here. The attack cost for each basic Pokemon in play, both yours and your opponent, is 1 colorless more. So it's
This is if you're like too good at the game and you're like, I really need to like spend more energy for my attack costs, right?
that's right, because we know Lost Zone's too good, so give yourself a challenge, play this card. So I mean, Lost Zone's obviously one deck that's going to get hurt by this potentially, right? Because your Kramers are no longer
Yeah.
free, so that really hurts the deck.
No, I think the Cramorants are still free.
Are they?
Yeah, I think so. It hurts Save Life. It doesn't. I don't believe it hurts Cramorant.
Because it says it attacks for free, so it doesn't
For
get
free, yeah. You can't.
Okay.
It's like you can't add. So you play Power Tablet and then you don't do
Yeah.
any damage. It's that type of thing. Where you
Okay.
can't add more to nothing.
Okay, because it doesn't say it's 0, it says it's free, so it won't hurt my cast form deck either. That's
No,
that's
but
good. To
it
know.
does hurt Lost Zone with I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I bet it hurts Sableye. It hurts other things as
Like
well.
Radiant
pretty much
Greninja, all of a sudden you're going to have a really tough time powering that up in 1 turn.
Yeah, but also they play like lots of stadiums and lost vacuums, so
Yes.
it's probably not like that useful. And that's about it. It's like not really good against anything else,
Well, there are single price
Miraidon,
decks
you're a good
around,
boy.
right? Maridon obviously
which
gets
isn't
hurt.
that good.
Yeah,
And also plays stadiums and
it is, but right. Any single prize, if single prize
Basic,
decks are
you mean.
basic attacking decks. There's the Tinglu, right? There's
yeah, it hurts Tinglu. I guess that's the big one, but Tinglu's not that. Like it hurts Tinglu a lot because they don't play that many stadiums.
right. Well, even if you play stands, you have to hit them, and a lot of decks don't have great engines, so
Yeah,
it hurts. So if
a deck like a Lost Zone will probably be able to bump it most of the time.
it has a strong engine, so you're right. Lost Zone it's a big threat to it, but Lost Zone could probably bump it better. But if you're playing an evolution deck, it's a consideration. I think it has a place in decks, is what I'd say.
Maybe it's kind of like, yeah, maybe. I'm not sure. I'm not really sure about that, but yeah, I've heard other people also say they think it's good. I don't think it's that good.
Obviously, if you're playing, if there's a lot of single prize decks out there, and you're
Basic.
playing basic attackers, you're correct. Thank you. Sorry, and you're playing an evolution based deck, then you're going to want to include 1 or 2 copies. Probably.
Yeah.
If people are playing basic attacking decks, and obviously, you're playing your Flamingo deck. That's what you've said. Flamigo for the next till the next set comes out after this. When I play down this Pokemon League HQ, you're not going to be happy. So, but yeah, it may not be that big, but it's a nice. Look, I'm glad it's out there. It's a nice thing to think about.
Yeah. And then you want to talk about the next one as well. You think this one's good?
I think it's interesting. Let me try to remember. So Ortega is a supporter here. You look at your opponent's hand, you choose one card you find there, put it on the bottom of their deck. Then they draw. Then they may draw one card, which they probably do. So you don't actually shrink their hand size. But the thought is for control decks, which obviously aren't the main thing that's out there. Getting you. There's a number of cards that you get. There are things that get rid of a card, but now you get to choose the card. And I'm not sure that what else exists in the standard format right now that lets you do that. So with a control deck, getting your opponent stuck in the active type deck, stall type deck, playing this, I think could be pretty harmful.
Maybe. There are a few things I don't like about it. One, when removing a card from your opponent's hand, a good part of the thing is that, like, they're not going to, what they have, but then when they're drawing another card in addition to the card that they can top deck at the beginning of their next turn, now they will have lots of other possibilities that you're not really sure of.
Yeah.
And also, obviously, you can't boss with this. So,
yes.
That's pretty not good. It's obviously, like, you can cross switch or whatever, but I don't know. I think it's okay. I'm not a big fan of it. And I play control also. You don't really play control.
I have not. If you there's a number of decks or some decks we see that like toss in the Mawile still, right? As a stall type thing. So if you have a deck like that you can set things up, that's not a bad option. To get now, you are right. The fact that they draw a card is a huge negative. If they didn't draw a card, it'd be much stronger.
Yeah, honestly, when I saw this, I originally thought it was you draw a card, and I was like, this is still only okay. And now that it's like the other way, I think it's pretty not good. It's not awful, but I'm not. It's not like a great card for control. It's like kind of workable, but it's not. I don't know. You also can't play like Penny. Like I find right now, support control and standard, the number one problem is that you don't like. You need to play multiple supporters, and you can't. Like stuff like Silene, Resilience Backup, Team Yell Cheer. They have like small but important effects. But then you obviously can't play multiple of them. But you need to play as many as you can. So I think this isn't quite good enough.
I mean, I also think like a stall type deck or a mill type deck. If you get the right Pokemon, your opponents in the active, it has a place.
I think I'd rather play like Misfortune Sisters, though.
It may be better. You're right. Maybe you want this in addition to it. I'm not sure. Maybe it doesn't have a place. But, cards that could be control type cards, they don't come around every day. So, I think we need to
What
think.
about like Pokemon League HQ and like, and Revivroom is also control. Togekiss is also control.
Okay. Well, it could be.
Lamora.
Togekiss could be a lot of things, but yeah. Look, I think it's worth thinking about. You're right. It probably comes up a little short. So let's talk about the other supporter, which is the last of the cards here. And that's Gita, I suppose, is the way it's pronounced here. And then until the end of your turn, you play this card, none of your Pokemon can attack, including any Pokemon you put into play this turn.
So I don't think this is good.
I haven't heard of that effect before, I got to say.
Yeah. No.
So I could be wrong.
But then there's more, believe it or not.
Oh, it doesn't just do that?
It doesn't just do that, no.
Then you search your deck for the 2 basic energy cards and attach them to one of your Pokemon, and then you shuffle your deck. So you accelerate 2 energy. You can't attack. So now there are turns in games, though, when attacking's not doable, right? Or there's not the benefit to an attack.
Yeah.
And there's a number of decks that have situations like that they will run into, right? It's not ideal, but there's decks that do that. So therefore, if you could take a turn that's a setup turn, like if you're going to end your turn in Koraidon, right, and you can play a supporter, right? If you go second.
So turn one going second.
Turn one going second.
Yeah.
Right. You play Koraidon, accelerate, and you accelerate 2 with this. Or there's other decks that use an ability to end your turn, right? Right, with Rotom V. Back when Zashi and V was in formats, you didn't always do that just on your first turn going first, right? There are times that
you'd rather not.
But there's times that you have to do that with decks, and if you have that in a deck and you play this card during your turn, that's a nice payoff. So I think it may go in some decks. I agree, not attacking is a bad thing, but there are attacks that you'll use too, when other players do too, that do things to set up there are attacks to accelerate energy and stuff. So now you don't need to do the attack; you just accelerate the energy and do your other plays in your turn. So
Well, it's probably easier to do the attack than
it might
to.
be.
I think what I'm comparing this to is Arceus V, right? It's similar, but
Well,
Arceus is
V
like
is much
really
better,
good too.
obviously. I mean, obviously, it only goes to V. So, but yes, Arceus is tremendous. It's not as good as Arceus V, but that's not that's one of the best cards around. So, I don't.
Yeah, but you can play that too. Like you can play
I get
Arceus V.
it.
I think Gita's interesting. It's good tournament going second. In fact, very good tournament going second. But I wouldn't play like 4 of this. I'd
No.
probably play 1 in a Luminion, but then you have to Luminion, and I'm not a big fan of that. And you're still not setting up by drawing either.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's interesting. I think if the game became slower, this would be really good. Yeah.
Look, I think it's limited. Part of what I think it's really interesting though, because I haven't seen this on a card, and if someone else knows of it, let us know. But that you play this card supporter and you can't attack that turn, which is just kind of
playing cast form.
But it's kind of insane, right? It's insanely horrible, right? It really is. So to me, Pokemon's issued me a challenge of, can I make this card work? Okay?
I don't think this card's actually that bad. I think it's okay.
So I think it's interesting as well.
Ideas. I'm trying to think of like control ideas. And they're not coming to my head. Like most control Pokemon are cheap because that's what you can do. And this opens up the option, but obviously it's setting up for an attack, right? You're not going to accelerate energy, and then just like use abilities the whole game.
Probably not. No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I got like a few ideas, but nothing that like really. So I was thinking, so there's that like Alakazam EX that like attacks from the bench. So you're gonna like have something stalling in the active or whatever.
Yeah.
Some like annoying Pokemon, and then you can use Gita while you're also doing that. Which is kind of weird, but I'm not sure.
It's a weird one, is what I'll say. I think it's very it's intriguing to me, I guess is what I'll say, because it's different.
Yeah.
All right, so those are the new cards, right? And so this is a piece of the Rule of Black Flame set. They kind of reveal it in pieces. So this is one set. We just kind of took through the highlights of it. So there's some interesting cards here. Like I said, they're coming out on August 11th, so less than a month away from now, we'll have access to these cards.
Yep. But I think it's time to move on to my segment now, right?
Yes, indeed.
So I have an interesting segment that I don't really have a name for. I guess I could call it like the Superlatives game.
Okay.
Although it's not exactly a game, and this might be really bad, but I think it'll be funny. This is inspired by something I saw on the channel Panda Global Smash channel. They have since, as far as I know, gone bankrupt. So I decided that it's a perfect place to start off with. So, yeah, pretty much the idea is we each have 10 cards given at random to us. You won't see them. It doesn't matter too much. And then we have a category. So for the first one, it's going to be best, or like an adjective, a superlative.
Right, the superlative, which we're looking for.
And so it's best or most, whatever, or something. And so you need to go, and you start off with, say, the worst, right? So I'll go first. We'll just hop into it. And then after that, you'll one-up me a little bit, and then keep going until one of us ends up with the best one that they have, and they'll say it.
Okay.
Yeah, let's try this. So I'll start with, I think my worst one here, which is just pretty bad. The category is best, by the way. And so I have Superior V-Star.
And what's that one too? Can you refresh?
That's the one. It's the one in the starter deck. They always called Superior Viper.
Oh yes.
It's bad. Like it's not like it's the one the grass one. It's not very good. There's not too much to say about it.
Okay. Yeah. No. It's not good. It's tricky to use, right? If it is good, it's not simple. It's not straightforward.
I guess. Well, the attack like moves energy around.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but it doesn't do that much damage, and moving energy around is not that good. And then the V-Star power, which is also an attack, hits the active based on energy attached, and then goes to the bench. And like you do some weird stuff, but really the weird stuff doesn't actually impact your game plan, and you're kind of just like playing cards just to play cards.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm ready. So you want me to top Superior V-Star, and
yeah,
I'm supposed to increase slowly, but I'm going to go right to the top because this is obviously the best card, and it's Miraidon EX because I love it. And
Yeah, I
so,
know you love that one.
but look, I think we'll agree that it is better than Superior V-Star.
Yeah, that's better than a lot of mine, to be honest.
So obviously Tandem Unit accelerates 2 energy, hit attacks for 220. I mean, it looks for 2 basic lightning, puts them on the bench. So it's really nice for setting up. You do get nice turn ones. 220 damage is a solid number on a basic Pokemon, and but you can't attack the next turn. So it's okay, is what I'll say.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's better than a number of things.
Yeah.
It's like I hit on it. It's actually it's not a great deck in my opinion, but it has uses other than that, and it's a good Pokemon, I'd say. And then next up, I'll go with something better than that, I think. And I think you'll agree with me on this one.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with the barrel. Right? You like the barrel?
Yep, a barrel, very good. The engine piece that draws to 5 in hand.
Yep, actually a 5 in hand. And it's I don't know. You know, it's cool. I'm not a big fan of it, but it's possibly the best engine. So what do you have?
Okay, it gets tricky. I have some strong cards. They go in very different directions here. All right, so if I say, all right, Regigigas, the key piece you don't think that's better?
I don't think that's better. No,
that's fine.
And
so
we'll give you can
that's fine. I'll cross that one off.
Maxes.
No, that's fine. I because I get into some strange ones here, and I don't want. So there's Magnezone. Is that one better?
Magnezone? No.
Is that's worse too? See, all right.
Yeah, that's
so,
also not better. The accelerates metal energy. It's
So I have some really good ones. So
hit me with.
All right. So Cramorant is better.
Yeah,
it's a key piece in Lost Zone. It's very good.
Yeah, Cramorant for your attacker.
Okay.
Okay. Let me see. Should I end it here? Or should I go with the one?
Well, you have to. I can up mine still, so then we'll see if I can up yours.
I'll go with Snorlax, the attacker.
Okay.
I think that's better than Cramorant.
And it does what is it? 180 damage or 150?
It does 180. Yeah. I wonder what set was it? Not that one. I found the wrong one.
It for 3 energy, 3 colorless. Is that right? And then you have to flip. It goes to sleep. And you have to flip 2 coins.
Yeah, it's probably staying asleep, but it adds a decent HP with 150.
Right.
It's immune to effects.
And you have therapeutic energy now to wake yourself up. That's really the only way to wake it up, pretty much.
Yeah, or you could switch out.
Yes.
Yeah.
So okay, so that's a good one. All right, so. All right, it's not Durant. I'll just going through. Not basic water, which is nice and flexible. Not fusion.
I don't know. Basic water might be. I'm not sure.
All right, so I've got. So, do you have anything? All right, so I have.
I have one thing better than this.
Just Gardevoir EX, you'd say. See, I have a couple, but the Fusion Strike energy. I don't. Oh, you have one better.
Yeah, I have one better than Snorlax, but only one.
So I will say, and I don't know which way to go with it. So I'll just say both of them because they group together here. Archeops and Lugia V-Star. Either way, they're the same thing, essentially, right? You play one to get the other. I'll say Archeops.
They are better. They are better than Snorlax.
So Archeops.
Yeah, they are. They enable Snorlax.
So I'll say Archeops to pick one.
Yeah. Okay, I agree with that. Okay. That's better. It's a very strong Pokemon. Yeah. I'm gonna go with my ace, Switch.
You're being serious here, huh?
Yeah, Switch is
just trying to throw the game.
Switch is amazing. Switch is like one of the best cards.
Wow.
It's been amazing for 25 years.
I wouldn't have said if I had Switch on my list. I wouldn't have. I might have said that first. So I mean, obviously,
Switch is broken.
Well, the game without Switch is very different. Although you have rope and you have
you do have rope, but like Lugia Archeops isn't. I think it's better.
All right. Well, this is the one I think is the best on my list. And we'll
give me Switch. You give me Switch over.
All right, I will to make you happy. I just it's very different. It's hard to compare.
It's the go.
I mean, it's such a vanilla card, right? Did we have like we have a category later that would like probably win for sure on the most boring card. But so Gardevoir EX, its ability is insanely busted, right? It may be I know I talk about Arceus being V-Star being the best, but this could be the best card in standard format right now. Its ability is tremendous. Accelerate unlimited.
It's really good. Yeah.
So it's 310 HP. Its ability is super. You can attack for it does 190, which is okay, but you don't there's places when you attack with it, right?
Yeah,
Especially if you have
certainly.
another one on the bench. 190 on a Pokemon that's probably not getting one shot damage on a Pokemon that's not getting one shot, but can be good too. So I'm going to say Gardevoir EX is better than Switch.
Yeah, yeah, that's probably true. Okay, I guess
Can you beat
I
that?
got. Let's see. I got. So imagine this. You're playing expanded,
Okay,
right?
sure.
Your opponent rocks up with Shadow Rider Calyrex V Max. Yeah,
Shadow Rider's not better.
it's
I mean, I
no,
like
it's
Shadow Rider, but yeah. I
yeah,
take
yeah.
I take this one down, right?
You do in the first one here.
All right. So 1-0 me on this randomly generated list. So
It is randomly generated. It's no skill. It was all luck, right?
it was all skill with the way I look at it, but for you, it was all luck since you lost.
Okay, so the next category, and you'll start off with this one now, is
Okay.
Sauciest. Yeah.
All right, and so as an old guy, well, I've got to look at my list. I'll just let you talk for a second. I don't understand the term sauciest, so define it
It's
for
like
me, please.
spicy. It just so, you're like chilling in the sauce. You're just there.
It's interesting, right?
Yeah, it's cool. It's flashy. It's unique, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you have that's not too saucy?
How about double turbo energy? Is that a good starting place?
Yeah, that's a pretty
It's
good
colorless, so it doesn't get much blander than that. It gives you 2. That's nice. You lose 20, lose less 20 less damage. So it's obviously it's okay. It's not it's not the most exciting thing in the world.
Yeah, I'll go. I guess this is a little better, a little saucier, but not that much saucier. It's Judge. That
Okay.
slightly one upset. Not everyone plays it. It can lead to some plays where you win because your opponent can't do anything for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
So that's kind of fun.
All right. So wait. So you okay?
You would Judge.
And I don't have a good. Honestly, I don't think I have very good cards here. Because all right, Soul Rock. I don't think that beats it. Do you?
Soul Rock beats Judge. Yeah, Soul Rock's saucier than Judge.
All right, then I'll toss out Soul Rock. And we don't need
Judge is pretty boring.
It is Soul Rock. I mean, Soul Rock, which accelerates right from the Lunatone Soul Rock pairing, so accelerates in energy. So
yeah.
I guess
it's
it's
not
got a
super
little.
interesting,
It's
but
slightly
it's not played a lot. It's
slightly
like
spicy, but it's it's very linear what it does. It accelerates one type of energy to one particular Pokemon.
Yeah. If it wins a tournament, you're like, "Ooh, that's cool." But like, if you just see it in a ladder, you're like, "That's not very interesting." So.
Well, especially because it was like half of the ladder for like a month or more, which is just crazy.
Yeah. Okay, I got one a little bit better. Well, I'll go with Gallade that searches for a supporter.
Okay.
So this one, it searches for a supporter. Also, an attack you can use. I think it's noticeably more interesting and like cooler than Solvok. It's played more, but also it's played in some like weird cool decks. It allows for interesting counts of supporters.
Yeah, you can put in one of supporters in decks, which I do like. So, okay, yeah, it's a good card and it's a little bit interesting there. So, all right, I will give you that. Where do I go now? I don't think Tyranitar V is in the running, right? I think we got to cross that one off.
Yeah, I don't think that's that cool.
I mean, it mills yourself, but I don't think that's that exciting.
Yeah. It's like the main attacker in Lugia Archeops.
We have Muckrow. That's the United Wings. Murkrow.
Yeah.
I don't think that one's saucy, or is
I'm
it?
not sure.
I don't think it's very marginal if it is. Let's see. Basic metal energy. No. I mean, again, no. What's the Orbeetle do? Now that
Orbeetle. Oh yeah, no, that one.
Is that a really good one? Maybe
that
I
one
save
is
that
really
one.
good. Yeah, I'd probably save that one.
Okay.
You have Limitless, right? Open. You can.
Yeah, but I got to figure out what sets it from though.
It's from Battle Styles. So.
Okay. If I go Sylveon VMAX.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Okay.
Sylveon's cool. We were talking about it earlier. Different types, interesting decks usually.
Mm-hmm.
You got some different ways you can go with it. Okay, I'll do you. Let's see. I'll go with Noivern EX. I think that one's pretty cool.
Yeah, it can be either immune to basic attackers or what's the other one? Affect the other one?
Stop special energy or also stadiums, but
from being played.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. It's not. I mean, it's not that cool to play against, but it's a fun one.
If I go with it's Tinkaton EX more interesting than that one, saucier. or not?
Yeah,
The big hammer. I mean, or is that kind of boring?
I think it's kind of boring.
All
It
right,
does like more for
so
each thing, but it's very linear too.
well then I'll grab the card that gobbles up Noivern and EX, and that is Giratina V Star. How about that?
No, you're not getting Giratina
Oh no,
V-Star.
I was thinking it was the okay. So
What were you thinking it was?
I was thinking it was the one that copies, which obviously is
No,
not that.
Rich, I don't even know if that would be
No. All right.
Noivern either.
So probably not Radiant Greninja, right?
No.
All right. So I have Orbeetle. That's my last one I can go
Okay.
with. So in that
Yeah.
one does. I'm trying to look
Should I
at.
read it?
Yeah, please do.
Okay, let's see. I'll pull it up. So it says for each energy attached to this Pokemon, search deck for stage 2, except for Orbeetle for whatever
Yep.
reason. Put it onto your bench, then shuffle your deck. Yeah, this is like the one that's kind of spicy and also kind of bad, but it's
You can play Archeops without Lugia.
Yeah, someone rocks up with this. You're going crazy.
So this one, you bring in the sauce with this one, right?
Yeah. But it's also really bad. Like
That's
yes. But I got one. I think it'll one up you.
All right.
Which I also misspelled. I realized I have like the cards printed in front of me, and I misspelled it. It's Spidops. Oh wait, no, I spelled it right. Spidops EX.
Oh, which the one that increases retreat cost?
Retreat cost, yeah.
I mean, I like it. I like Spidops.
No, it's funny. It's like really, it's kind of bad, but it's funny. I think it's like saucy.
I mean, I played Spidops Leafy.
You can put in Zoroark. You can. It's also like playables.
You can play it by itself because what's that?
I think it like Orbeetle is really saucy, but it's also really awful. Spidops is playable. It's funny. You can do Mill. You can do Leafeon. Leafeon's not that spicy, but it's kind of cool. You can do Control. Like you can do all these like weird control shenanigans. I think it's really cool. I think it's
all right. I mean, I feel like because you can stall your opponent and they can't retreat out, so they need a switching card, and they can only do that so many times over the course of the game. Most decks, so you can get a win strategy that way, and such. So, and the attack damage isn't bad. So, and you compare it with Leafeon VMAX. So, all right, fine. I'll give you that then.
It's close. It's close. But,
it's a close one.
You've never played Orbeetle either. I mean, I've tried
I have not played
really
Orbeetle. Yeah, it doesn't seem very, very successful.
Yeah, I've tried it. I don't think I've ever like had it work. Like, yeah. But anyway, next up, we have the next category.
So we're 1-1 now, right? So
we are 1-1. Yeah.
All right.
Is lamest or most boring? Because you wanted me to clarify that. So yeah, most boring. But we're starting with most interesting. This you will never say is not cool. It's single strike style mustard.
that one is spicy. Spicy mustard there.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Which stage 2 strength event? It's like Orbeetle, but it like works, and it's like funny and it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's pure sauce.
So something spicy from my list. So, it's not a very spicy list. So, have Radiant Jirachi.
Yeah, that's cool.
Right,
that's
that
cool.
one, which you hate it, which I don't know why you hate it.
Well, I don't hate it, but I just think it's outclassed.
You think it's terrible.
Well, I think it is. It's not that good.
You flip 2 coins, the attack, and if they're both heads, they're knocked out. You pay for it with a single DTE, and if you're knocked out by your opponent's attack, you search your deck for 3 cards, which is quite nice. But so that is not boring. It's not the typical card in the game.
Yeah, it's not as interesting as mustard though. Next up, I'll go with one that's a bit more boring in my opinion. It's very rogue, I'd say, but it's also not the most interesting. But it's cool. It's Lucario, with its ability, the one from Brilliant Stars, which its ability of Roaring Resolve, when it accelerates to itself, and you discard the fighting energy to do pretty big damage. Yeah, it's cool, but it's also pretty linear. But it's
yeah,
I think.
it's fairly straightforward what you want to do with it. But okay, all right. What do I have that's more boring? I don't think Weird Deer V is more boring than that, right?
I think I'd give it to you. I think Weird Deer
close.
I'd give you Weird Deer. You don't give that.
Let me see if I can jump ahead. Sharon's Care is not very interesting, right?
Oh yeah.
So
it's not that bad. It's
I saved that one. That one's still coming up, maybe, right? Nest Lumineon V. Is that more boring than Lucario?
Yeah, Lumineon's just.
I'll say Lumineon V then.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Lumineon just searching for a supporter.
Hmm.
It's whatever. Like it's good.
Yeah, it's a very
Not very
powerful. It's an
interesting.
important card.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's not too much to say about that one.
No, and we all know it, so we can move on to what your
I'll go
next
with
pick is.
another card. We all know it. It's more complicated than Lumineon, but I guess, but it's really like boring. It's Colossus Experiment.
Ooh, I see. Is that one more boring? I think
Yeah,
it's
like
kind of more interesting. I gotta say.
well, the plays are. It's theoretically like you need to make more precise plays, but like the plays aren't interesting. It's like, oh, 5 turns from now, I might have a 5% less chance of winning the game, but it's not
All
like
right. I'll give it
you
to
know,
you. I'll
it's
give it to you because I don't think it's that boring, so I'm gonna like blow it away. So that's why I'll give it to you.
wow.
So
Okay.
let's think.
Okay, let's see what you got.
So boring. So I don't think I can go with Palkia. I think that one's too interesting.
No, I don't know. Yeah, that might be true. Its Vista Power has some unique combos.
How about Curlia? Discard. That one's pretty. It's nice, but it's pretty. It's been there, done that, right?
Well, you were saying Colossus Experiment was interesting because you had like interesting decisions, right?
Right.
But
We're
I
going
think
with
you also
more
have those
boring.
with Curlia.
But Curlia, there hasn't been a card exactly like that. There's been cards just like Curlia before.
Yeah, that's fair.
Exactly
I'll give
like
you
it.
Curlia. Uh-huh.
Okay.
So yeah, that's fair. Okay, I'll go with something that just isn't interesting because it kind of sucks to play against, and that's Ting Lu EX. Like,
Well,
it's.
I mean, the games are boring. I don't know if the card's
Yeah.
boring.
You want to play against this and say it's not boring?
Well, I hate playing against it, but
Exactly.
I think the card's a bit interesting. I gotta say. So,
How's it interesting? You just stick it there, and then it probably doesn't attack because you can't pay its attack, and then it just sits there, and then your opponent just sits there.
well, yeah. I mean, that's what I've been playing lately. So, I mean, all right, fine. I'll give it to you. I think you're going. We're taking different directions on this. I gotta say.
We might be. Yeah.
So again, it's boring to play against. I think the card's kind of interesting. This ability of shutting off abilities on your opponent's cards and such. But anyway, so boring. So Radiant Serena's not more boring. Right?
Radiant Serena's it's a little like Roger, I guess.
Yeah. So that one's out of the running. I do have one of the cards you like. How about Squovit? Or is that interesting?
Squovit's awesome. Squovit's
Is
like
it
right next to
interesting,
Mustard.
though?
It's like right next to Mustard up there.
So, okay.
So cool. You got all these like expanded glitches you can do. It's awesome.
All right. Let's see. So I don't. So Weird Ear V, is that more boring or not?
I don't think so. We're just kind of cool. You
All
can
right,
get
then
like
I'll
you can do big damage.
How about Sharon's Care?
Yeah, I guess.
I think that's pretty dull. It
yeah,
does
it
what
just
it
kind of like it
does.
drags the game out.
Just like Ting Lu does.
It does. I know. And
They're like different
it's like,
things.
oh, I've been
in the
attacking the
same.
Sauciest for 10 turns now.
Exactly. I'll do yeah. I won't one-shot
Okay.
anything at 180 with Arceus turn after turn, but you're not going to knock me out either. So
Yeah. You know what else you want one shot? It's Tsuning Guja V-Star. That's just sitting
goo,
there. It's not doing
Yeah.
anything. It's it's like cool. Like theoretically it's cool, but then the match just kind of sucks because like nothing really happens.
It's effective.
And then you almost KO them, and then yeah, it's pretty good. It's balanced, I'd say.
I mean,
but,
see, the fact that you take 80 less damage, it makes it a little less boring, right? The fact that it has the ability to heal all its damage off it, again, a little less boring. So
less boring. I'd say that's more boring. You just like
the game,
like,
the Pokemon's that I think the card is not as boring. I think the games may be boring. See, that's the thing. I think
it makes boring games. Yeah.
V-Star's not a boring card.
Do you want to get? Are you giving it to me? Or
I'll give it to you, but we've interpreted this very differently.
Yeah, we have.
So, and I only have one card left, and this card is super vanilla here. And,
what is it?
And that's Nest Ball.
Nest Ball. Yeah, that's more boring.
I mean, what do? You do one thing with it. It's a very good card. Don't get me wrong.
It's very good. There's not really much nuance. Like usually, you know exactly what you're getting.
I mean, it's not even. It's more boring than Quick Ball because Quick Ball you had to discard something. You had some thought here. Here you just put what Pokemon do I want, put it on the bench, and I'm done with it.
Yeah.
So can you top
Yeah,
that
I'll
one?
give you that one. Okay, I have a question for you now,
Okay,
and that is, do you enjoy playing Pokemon?
I do.
Wow, you do. Well, I have a card for you. I have Path to the Peak. Because
Well,
so if you don't want to play Pokemon some.
so is that more boring than is? All right, so is this your boringest card? Because we need to
This is
because I'm
my
at my last card.
yeah, this is my ultimate card.
Okay, because Luminous Energy is more interesting. Earth and Steel Stone is more interesting. So, I see. I think Path in and of itself is actually more interesting in that when do you play it, right? It makes boring games, which is what you
Yeah,
focused on.
but
I think the
it's
card
usually
is
the
more
decks that play Path
interesting
just throw it down, or they're decks that like
than hate
Arceus, where
Path.
or it's like Arceus and you like use your ability and then you play Path.
Right. Or
And
you play
there's
Ice,
like
or I play Blissey and I just put down Path
play
every
Path.
turn. What do
Yeah.
I do? Just stick through a Path into play. And then it
There
is
is
boring because
yeah,
there's
there
no
is
thought to
Mew,
it.
but like Mew Path isn't like like it's theoretically when you play it's kind of interesting, but
Hmm.
also just kind of like just because the interesting decisions, I don't think it actually makes the game interesting. It just makes it slow and it just slows it down for both players. And I don't know. I think Path is really, really boring.
So, all right, here's the question. I think Path to the Peak makes a more boring game. I think Nest Ball is a more boring card because it's almost
Yeah,
brainless, right? So
yeah.
I don't know how are we gonna
I
call
think
this one
Nest Ball
a
like
tie?
actually has like interesting plays as well. Like Nest Ball is like you can have there are certain decks like Nest Ball in Lost Zone can be hard to use sometimes too.
All right, sure. Just like Battle VP Pass. So what do I do with this one?
Well, no, Nest Ball. There are times when you
It's
save
just so
it or thin
complicated.
it. And there are also times when there. I think the Nest Ball has more nuance
I
than
tell you
Path
what,
to the Peak.
this is your game. It's your category. I'll give you Pass to the Peak.
Yeah, I also think I'm going to lose the next one, and we got to make it 2-2 going to the finals.
Okay, I don't remember. I don't remember how these other things work out. So, all right. So you want to. So the next one is hardest to play, correct? If I'm reading the
Yeah,
chart
yeah.
right,
Mhm.
and I think I go first here, right?
Yeah. Also, you have access to you see all my cards for some reason.
Well, don't you see my
So
cards too?
no, I didn't print your cards.
Oh, you printed just your
So
cards.
fine, yeah.
Well, I printed out the file that you made.
Yeah, I
So.
see. Yeah, you printed all my cards.
Well, I'm
Okay,
not
whatever.
really. Oh, because I've said that. All right. So hardest to play. I do
Yeah.
think I
I mean,
have some
yeah.
tricky ones here.
Mhm.
Um.
Let's start with something pretty easy.
So how about Great Ball?
Yeah,
You-
I think that's pretty. Usually, I only have like one choice. So.
I mean, it's like that. I could do Genesect V. I think that one's pretty straightforward too.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Great Ball's
Um,
about right. You see 7 cards. You take a Pokemon that you want, and I
yeah,
think it's pretty. Anybody can play it. You don't like to play it, but I think it's very straightforward.
yeah. Let's see. So I think my a lot of mine are like not as are easier to play than Great Ball. So, I'll go with one that's no. This one's a little more complicated, especially with this pre-evolution, which is important. That's Regieleki VMAX. Obviously, the VMAX in itself is pretty straightforward, but you have various like ideas with the line and stuff.
Right, the VMAX, which boosts your basic lightning by 30, right? And it
Yeah,
hits for
and then also
220,
yeah,
but can't attack it again. So
yeah. Also, it can be a 3-prize liability, so sometimes you just won't play it for that.
yes, yeah, you have some choices, and right, and the V is a very good attacker. So sometimes you
I wouldn't say
usually
very good.
well, it
It's
can be
solid.
because it does 100 damage, but then it takes 100 less damage on a 200 HP Pokemon. So 300 HP for a 2 prize is quite nice.
Yeah.
Right, and you can bump it with some of the VMAXs in play. So okay, so I'll give you that. So where do I go here? I have a lot of good choices. So I want to build slowly.
Mhm.
Let's see, Genesect's probably easier to play, right, than that because you
Um,
just put it on the bench, and then when your hand gets low, you just use the ability.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
right.
that's true.
How about Penny though?
Yeah, no, Penny is definitely harder to play than that.
So I'm going to toss out Penny.
I don't know if I can beat Penny.
I might be going too hard, but I think some of these other Pokemon, these other cards are harder. So Penny, where
Yeah,
you put a basic Pokemon and all cards attached to it into your hand. And I did make a mistake when I played Blissey V the other day. I played Sharon's Care, but I should have played Penny. I was pointed out to me, and I thank the person that caught that mistake because you can scoop up any of my basic Pokemon, and that's all I had in the deck, like Radiant Greninja.
yeah,
So Penny,
I guess you can always use Sharon's Care though.
you Can't.
Or wait, you used Penny or you
I
used?
kept Sharon's Care in the deck. I forgot to update replacing the Sharon. I should have
Oh,
replaced Sharon's Care with Penny.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Penny can be a little complicated. I know. I find like the decks I played in are always control decks, so it's really confusing. But the card itself isn't that complicated to play either.
No, but
So
when to play it, right? It's still.
yeah, yeah.
And
Usually, I think it's like obvious. It's like, oh, I have a dead hand. I'm going to play research instead of Penny, or oh, I'm in a good spot. I'll play Penny. But I agree with you that it's harder to play than.
Reggie Lucky VMAX, which
Yeah.
really isn't all that hard.
No. Next, I have another card. That let's see. What do I have that's a bit more complicated than Penny? I think. Let's see. I'll go with Super Rod. I think Super Rod's more complicated to play than Penny.
Super Rod. Wow.
Super Rod, yeah, yeah.
I
You
mean,
need to like decide what to recover, right?
yeah, energies, Pokemon, what mix. You don't have to do all three. All right, I'm not sure that's true, but
I
maybe.
think Penny in reality isn't as hard as like it seems. It can be complicated, but usually it's not
Super
that bad.
Rod's pretty easy too.
Yeah, I guess not. I'll
So,
okay. I'll do something else.
You can say it if you want, but
yeah, no, I'll do I'll say that. I'll say this. I'll say Boss's Orders. I think Boss's Order is harder to play. Obviously, there are obvious cases where you just boss for like game or whatever, but then you can also have like stalling stuff. And you also have obviously like you hit into them and you kind of target stuff down. So there can be times where it's hard to play. Also, I always psych myself out with it. I don't know. Sometimes, like at the end of the games, I always find myself like if I'm losing, which unfortunately I find myself doing a lot, even though I always win in the end. But sometimes I find that I'm on my way to losing. But then I always go for I always end up like bossing my opponent up and trapping them for like 5 turns, and then they eventually like find a switch, and then I lose. I win. Sorry, I win.
Yeah, there's that boss stall hope play that we were all familiar with. But when to boss, when to use it, obviously, when to.
And also, it's so good, but then sometimes you need to like research instead, and it's difficult to decide.
Right, and that turn, which might not apply here, but like, do you research away the boss early? Right, sometimes you have to, but you can regret that too. So, okay, I will give you boss, and I'm gonna then put out the Pokemon, the exact that does boss in Umbreon V. Right, I think that's a little VMAX. Yeah. I think that's a little trickier, right, because it is a
Pokemon.
It's a Pokemon. It gives up 3 prizes, right? You have to have the V in play, and then you Dark Signal. You switch one of your opponent's Pokemon when you play it, and then of course it's got the attack. Do you want to attack with it once it's in play? It does 160 for 3, which is mediocre at best, but you can use single strike energy. So I'd say Umbreon's trickier than boss.
Yeah, and also there are times when you have Umbreon in play, like the V in play, and you want to attack with VMAX in the matchup, but then you also want to save the ability, and you decide whether you play it or not.
Right.
So I agree with that.
Okay.
Next up, I'll go with one. This is, I think, a noticeable step up from Umbreon. And it may be my best one, but I think it's definitely harder. And that's going to be Inteleon VMAX, the Rapid Strike one. Oh, yeah, that's the only one in Standard.
Yes, right. The other ones rotate. Yeah, we didn't say that these are Standard only cards, I think, but that is
I believe
the case.
They are.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this one that you have your attack, obviously, it's not that complicated. Usually return the energy. But then you have your ability where you discard water energy from here and ping.
Yes.
And that can be like really difficult to figure out where to ping, and sometimes when to go for it. Right? Obviously, if you have it, you usually go for it, but there are times when you like go down different routes, and I think it's a bit. It's one of, in my opinion, it's probably the hardest VMAX to play.
Yeah, that's a good one, and seeing it, that may be the toughest one you have. So, all right. So let's think. So Drapion V is not hard to play, right? I can cross that off.
Yeah, that's not very hard to play.
Right.
There's like, where do you put your damage? But it usually doesn't really matter at all, anyways.
Yeah. So Radiant Charizard's not harder to play either, I don't think.
No, you usually don't attack with it until you can, which gives you.
And then you attack with it, and you want to take some pride. You want to take a knockout. All right. So then I have 2 of the pieces that go in that same deck, but maybe are these harder, right? There's Rapid Strike Earthshrew. I don't know if that's harder or not, right? And
I'm not.
And there's Radiant Alakazam. I think that one might be harder.
Yeah, I think Radiant Alakazam.
Because that obviously ties in with the Inteleon VMAX, but the Inteleon VMAX is you want to use that turn ability pretty much every turn, and where to put it's usually more straightforward. It's the moving those damage counters with Radiant Alakazam. That's where it gets a little tricky from my standpoint.
Yeah, I think it's also very tricky in decks where say there are decks that hit damage, and then they two shot, but they like overshoot. So sometimes they put in Radiant Alakazam.
Hmm.
And I don't really know what I'm doing with those decks. I usually just flail around and it doesn't matter too much, but it can matter sometimes a lot.
Hmm.
And knowing where to move it. Also, its attack's kind of interesting. I had a deck that used it, but
Right. I don't know if I've ever attacked with it in a deck, but I've
no, with
certainly.
the that Ditto spread deck I
Okay.
showed you, which had it, and then you could attack with it.
Okay, that one could. Okay. Yeah, 20 damage for each card in your opponent's hand. So,
It's not that good, but there are
mm,
times when it could be pretty all right.
yeah. Okay, so can you top reading Alakazam? I'm not sure if you can.
Yeah, I think I have the ultimate card. It may
Okay.
be very similar to the card you said very initially for one of the most boring cards, but I think Ultra Ball.
Ultra Ball.
Ultra Ball is you need to decide what to discard, and you need to decide
Wow.
what to get. There are times when you have to thin. I think Ultra Ball.
Ultra Ball, you think is wow. I mean, there are times it's hard, right? There are times that like you need to Ultra Ball to get something, but you really don't want to get rid of the cards, right?
Yeah.
Those are tough turns,
Yeah,
tough
like Quick Ball,
decisions to
getting
make.
rid of one isn't that bad, but there are definitely times. Like I'd say probably you'd definitely rather Ultra Ball gotten rid of one. Um, Getting rid of zero, like I don't think like getting rid of a card from your hand is nice. Getting rid of two is not that good. I think Ultra Ball is a little harder than Radiant Alakazam.
All right, well then I think I've got the one that beats that. Um,
Yeah, let's hear it. Let's hear it.
once again, I'm kind of copying why yours is tough, and I'm going to say Rayquaza VMAX. First, making the attacks work.
Rayquaza VMAX?
Well, you don't think so?
I don't think so. I don't like.
When do you use a Zero Pulse, though? It's very tricky. You discard your
I
hand, draw
guess.
three. It's a very nice ability, but at least
You're
half.
getting rid of everything too. Like it's like
Right.
yeah, you like one. Like I have a dead hand, or like I have a. I mean, it's a little hard.
There's times that honestly, like I've played Rayquaza, and I liked the deck, but less than half the time do I probably want to use that ability, right? Because you're losing everything. But then there's times, but like if you like need boss, for instance, you just got to do it and hope sometimes too, right? But or you think, oh, what are the odds? And it's not it's
But
not
it's
easy.
not as like much resource management because either it's like I get rid of everything or I don't get rid of anything at
But when
all.
to use it's hard, all right?
Um,
And the attack is very
the
tricky.
attacks. What do you mean? It's just like Chen Pao's attack, which isn't tricky. You just KO stuff, or you don't KO
Well, you
stuff.
discard, right? It's 20 damage plus 80 more for each fire or lightning energy you discard. And all has to be of one type. You can't mix and match the two. I think the game will let you discard them, but you don't get extra damage for it, I think. So you can't. Oh, if you can get the knockout, it's easy. But if you don't get the knockout,
If you don't, you probably lose.
So you think that one's easier.
Yeah. Do you have anything better than Rayquaza?
I got Reggie Drago V-Star, but I think that one's probably easier.
No, I think Reggie Draco's.
You think that one's
Or
harder?
Reggie Draco. I don't know. I think maybe fine. I'll give you Rayquaza.
Or I could say
Um,
Radiant Alakazam is still, but you think Ultra Ball's harder than Radiant Alakazam, which I don't
I
probably
think a
agree with.
little. Yeah, fine. Fine. I guess I don't get Ultra Ball.
Well,
That's maybe a little bit of reach. I'll let you get it with Radiant Alakazam.
you won the last one, so if you win this one, you win it all for the
I
last
know, that's
category.
why.
So see, that's
Yeah,
why I
I
probably,
probably
see you said you needed to win the last one. So
I did. I
And
didn't think I could convince you on Ultra Ball.
so all
I
right,
don't
look,
think
I
did.
think Radiant Alakazam is my hardest.
Yeah,
one,
Radiant
quite
Alakazam is
frankly.
probably.
I think it's harder than Ultra Ball. So agreed. We'll live with that.
Yeah, well, we'll live with that.
All right, let's
Um,
go on to the last one.
This is why it would be better if we had 3 people, so we could vote. Um,
Yes, it would work better with that.
Okay. So I'll start. This is one is biggest flop. And so obviously, like people thought it was going to be good, and then ended up being bad.
Right.
So I have one that people thought was going to be bad, and ended up being good. So it's not a flop at all, and that's Mewtwo V Union, which is I thought it was like the worst thing ever,
Right.
but it was actually quite good.
Yeah, all the views were garbage, people thought, but then that one ended up being pretty strong.
Yep.
And I would really wish I had Rayquaza VMAX for this one rather than the last category, I got to say, because then I think I would have had this one locked up because that was a huge fall. So, biggest flop, I will say, well, Mewtwo. So, it has to be bigger flop than Mewtwo V Union.
Yeah, which is pretty much anything. Either
Yeah.
it's
Well, I don't know if
bad
I could say
or it's
comfy.
good.
Was comfy worse than that? I'll say Ice Rider Calorie.
Well, no, comfy's like, but comfy like it wasn't like a flop, but it wasn't like Mewtwo was the opposite of a flop.
No, I get
You
it.
can,
No, but comfy was highly successul too, right?
well, yeah, but
It
people
was
thought it was
hyped
all.
up
People
and it
also
was
thought
good.
it was going to be good. Yeah, so it wasn't a flop, but it wasn't not. It wasn't like you can go comfy. You can do really whatever.
I'll say Ice Rider.
Yeah, honestly, I think Ice Rider was like, yeah, it was
It was a bit of a
good.
flop, but it was you know it disappointed at first because Shadow Rider was better.
Well, no, Ice Rider was actually good at first too.
It was
Like it was like top 5.
right, but Shadow Rider was maybe number 1, right?
Well, yeah, but Shadow Rider is more hype too. I think Ice Rider performed quite well.
And it had more. It had a long lifespan that it was good for.
Yeah.
It was better.
Although now I'd say Shadow Rider is better than Ice Rider.
Yes,
but
we'll say Ice Rider less of a flop than Mewtwo V Union.
yeah, I definitely agree with that. Okay, I'll go with a card that I think, maybe that's a little bit of a flop. Yeah, I'll go with Iono. I think Iono is
Really?
very good.
Yeah.
But I think it was, people said it was like the best card released in like years,
Mm.
and I don't think it was that, but it's still very good. It might be the best card in the game, but it still might be a flop.
Because it was so hyped up. I mean,
Yeah, everyone was like, "This is like the greatest thing that happened in the TCG since its creation," or something. And people were like going crazy
Yeah.
because everyone loves N, right? Whenever you
Right.
say before this, whenever you're like, "Yo, what do you want to reprint?" Everyone would just say N, and this
Yes.
is N.
Basically that, yes. And Omnipoke said this was the best card, their favorite card in format, I think, for both of them.
Yeah. Even though it's not like actually that interesting, I don't think. Like it's like, oh, I can't do anything now because my opponent I only me down to a low hand. Fun, but you know, it's good, right?
Biggest fun. So I don't know. So how about, let's see, is Baxcalibur a bigger flop or not?
I don't know. No,
might not be.
I think
It's
it's
obviously
one
not
of
a
the
flop.
best decks in format. I mean, I don't. Yeah, I wouldn't say so.
Okay, so that's and I don't think I can say Flying Pikachu, right? One world. So
Yeah, I don't think.
So I think I have to
that's
just cross that one
That might
off.
be worse than Mewtwo. That might have been thought.
That might be the top card here, huh?
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to think what I could do here. So Houndoom, how about that?
Yeah,
Single
I'll
strike.
definitely give it. That
'Cause
one
it
was
was-
actually like a big flop. It was
Right.
still like good, but it wasn't.
It was
like,
good, but
people thought it was going to be better than Rapid Strike, and it wasn't.
right, artillery. Well, yeah, people thought single strike was going to be better. Rapid strike was generally stronger, and the artillery was just way better than Houndoom. Even though Houndoom accelerates energy,
I'd say Houndoom's better than Octillery, but
maybe.
I mean, they do different things as well. They're
yes,
kind of hard
they
to
are.
compare.
Well, the problem is you had to fill your best with Houndoom, so then you didn't have any engine, so you were
Well, Houndoom's kind of like Archeops, which is like really good.
yeah.
You know, but yeah, I'd agree that it's
So
like
Houndoom,
bigger
okay.
flop than
Then
whatever I
Iono.
said. Iono. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, let's see. What's something people thought was gonna? I got like some really good ones here.
Yeah, I'm not liking my odds for this category. I got.
Let's see. I got I'll go with Zoroark. I think Zoroark. It flops ever
Zoroark.
set.
Oh, because everybody's
Everyone's like,
thinking it's
Zoroark's
going to be
finally
so
gonna be
good.
And I also hype this one up all the time, and it never is good. I mean, it's okay.
Right, the Zoroark, the stage one that you can put another stage one from the discard to replace it.
Yeah, it's not that bad, but it's
It's
not that good either.
it's a flop like every expansion, right? Because there's always like, oh,
Yeah.
is this it for Zoroark? People try it. It's kind of like me with cast form, except I'm the only person trying to make cast form work because everyone else is too smart for
and,
that.
yeah, and at the end of the day, you know it's not that
right.
good.
But there's a lot of people that think Zoroark's going to be the next big
Zoroark's
thing.
awesome. Zoroark,
Right, and you told me with EXs coming out now, Zoroark can turn into EXs, and Zoroark's going to take over the world, and it still hasn't quite
admittedly,
happened
all the stage 1 EXs are bad. Like there are good basic EXs and good stage 2 EXs, and there aren't really any good stage 1 EXs. But I stand by the fact that Zoroark controls a viable deck with like Spite Ops, you know.
All right, so now I don't have many choices. So I have both Galarian Moltres, the V and the single prize. They're both not they weren't not flops, right? So they're
Yeah, I
out of the
mean,
running.
yeah, no, they weren't really flops.
So see, they're in comfy, not a flop.
No, I
So
don't think you.
so I'm down to just a couple. All right, what does Miascarada EX do? I'm trying to remember.
Masquerada. Oh, that's a flop. Yeah, you can get that one. That's the
It might be
you
my
pull
best
up.
one. I don't remember.
Um,
What's it do? All right, so
It's a stage 2 grass. People thought it was going to be pretty solid.
let's see. So discard a basic grass from hand, and then you put 3 damage counters on your opponent's bench Pokemon. Okay, with that, so that's 3 is better than 2. So look out. And then your opponent's
Wait, then what do you like what?
well, you can like with Inteleon, but that puts 2 on 2.
Yeah, so that
I get it. But you're getting 3 on 1, so maybe that's better.
Yeah.
If your opponent's active Pokemon has any damage counters on, it does 120.
Yeah. Yeah, people thought this one was going to be
now you have to
good.
move it to the active, which isn't great either. It's something I need to try out for sure. And it's 2 colorless, so you can pay it with a DTE. So you do 200 damage. It's already damaged, so you one-shotting like a basic EX or a basic V Pokemon probably in one shot with it with the damage already on it. It had some excitement, but yeah, it has not panned out.
Yeah, I think Masquerada is yeah, that was a flop. I guess it's higher than flop than Zoroark. Like Zoroark like flops, but it doesn't actually flop like that badly. Even though it's funny that it flops every set, but
Right.
yeah, Masquerada is more of a flop. Okay, so I'll go with another card that I think flopped harder from the same set. I'm gonna go with, maybe it's just me, but I think Reversal Energy flopped. Actually, no. I'm taking that one back. It did like all right. I'm gonna go with the like I don't know if I could get it, but I'm gonna end it here. I'm gonna go with Flaffy. You said you wish you had a Rayquaza. Well, I got that's
Flaffy, which although see Flaffy obviously came out
Flaffy's
with Rayquaza.
like so bad.
All right,
Like,
what
it's
was
right
the set?
with
Evolving Skies?
Yeah.
I just
I
want to.
thought it was gonna like dominate, and it was awful.
Right. Well,
initially it was awful. It's gotten to the point of it's almost okay.
I mean, obviously the idea of Flaffy Rayquaza was a disaster.
Yeah, I think
but Flaffy and Lightning decks, right?
It wasn't that good. Lightning wasn't that good.
Well, Flaffy Miraidon now is
Miraidon's
borderline
like, okay,
top 20.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't say that's.
So is it?
I guess
Is
I don't.
it
I wouldn't
worse
say
than
that's like.
Masquerada? Is the worst one you think you have?
What do you think I have? That's. Or I could say Reversal.
Yeah, no.
I don't think.
I think. Well, I figured you were going to show some hate for Rotom V. I got to say.
But no one thought Rotom V was going to be good.
That's true.
I think Flaffy. It was like Flaffy. People thought it was going to be like so amazing, and it was like the 10th best deck from the set, and it was really sad. I think I like saw like niche play. It seems like niche play with like Raichu V and some other lightning stuff, but like borderline top 20 isn't like Meowscarada is better than. I don't actually know if Meowscarada is better than Flaffy, but like Flaffy was hyped so much, and Meowscarada was like.
All right, I'll give you. Yeah, that's true. All right, I'll give you Flaffy. I'm not. It's close, right? It's a close one, I think.
Yeah. So you have anything to beat Flaffy?
So what set was Torterra from?
Torterra wasn't.
Tell me what set it was from first.
It was from Brilliant Stars. So people are like, Arceus. Nah, let's not.
Well, because it had the stage 1, right? That would.
Well, yeah, that was in the same set. Yeah.
Which is part of Torterra, right? That was what you'd search for an evolution Pokemon. Is that what it did?
No, it's just a grass Pokemon.
It's just a grass Pokemon.
Grass Pokemon, you could get like
whatever you want, including Torterra, right? All right, so that's so the card which I'm putting out there, and I don't know where it's going to soar at fall, is Capturing Aroma.
Capturing Aroma,
because people thought that was really good.
Well, people thought it was good when it came. Like people play it because
they still play it. I don't think
people didn't think it was good either. I don't think. Like I didn't hear talk about what set was that in Silver Tempest.
Yeah, Silver Tempest.
I think people talked about it and were like, "This is okay," and it ended up being pretty. I think it was like matched to where it was like. I remember this is the video where you and I did the 2.5 hour long.
All right.
Silver Tempest set review when we both lost our voices.
Well, and we're starting to get awful long here, so we need to tie this.
It's not that long,
No, I know it's not there yet, but we don't want to. We're getting along, I think.
Yeah.
So
I think Capturing Aroma is not.
People played it. They still play it some. People played it like immediately though. They thought it was good.
It's probably top 20 most played items, which is pretty impressive. It may not be, but it's. It's good. It's played, and people didn't hype it up that much. Comparing it to
All right.
Flaffy, like it's maybe a flop, but
All right,
it's not as.
I'll give you Flaffy then. All right, so
Mhm. Let's
you
go. I
take it down
won.
then. So it's your segment.
Yeah.
Give you the win. So we had the best Pokemon Gardevoir or best card Gardevoir EX, Sauciest, Spite Ops EX for you,
Yeah.
Lamest or most boring, Path to the Peak, hardest to play, Reading Alakazam, and now biggest flop, Flaffy.
Flaffy. Yep. Yeah, I think that was. It could have gone either way. It was obviously kind of just like luck and just talking about stuff, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and now everything's obviously not straightforward, but those when I look at the 5 winners, they're solid choices for all the 5 categories.
Yeah. But we hope you enjoy the podcast. If you have other ideas for segments, that'd be cool too. I got some, but yeah. But I hope you enjoy the podcast. Also, check us out on Spotify. That'd be cool. Or YouTube. You can check us, either of us. They should be similar. Both Uncommon Fossil and 10 Types. Those 2 channels have it. But they might be slightly different, so you can check those out.
And if you
and
comment
subscribe to them.
there, we will we'll see it and probably respond on our YouTube
Yeah.
channels.
And yeah, anything else you want to add?
No, I think that's good. So just everyone enjoy your day and play some Pokemon, have some fun. Take care.
Yep. See ya.